every dollar helps, and having a group that has the credibility, like the DOE and NREL behind us, actually just gives us a little bit more hop in our step, because it's that validation, it's the dollars, knowing that we aren't the only ones toeing the line, but we're having some support getting us there. And so again, it's just, as a small company, it's extremely meaningful to us.
Hi, Mark Birdie. I'm the CTO for Orison. I've been with the company, looks like 4 years now, a little more than that. I originally came from mainly like defense and that type of industry. Started getting involved in startups, and I also did a lot of nuclear power work, so I had some experience in the power industry. Then came on to Orison and tried to making all this stuff work. Okay. So been very exciting.
Okay. This is my 5th startup. I've been in the space. It's always been around energy and utility type of work. When we started the program, it was always designed around how do we actually solve a bigger problem, right? The grid's currently being used for storage, and so solar was able to be implemented, and Orison found a way to do it through, a simplicity of a plug and play type of system. And, for me, it's always been kind of my mission to have good business economics, but always with the mind's eye of how do we actually better the environment and better people's lives. And I think a lot of things that get missed in the world and the industry and the messaging is things that are better for the environment sometimes are a lot worse for people. And I think the two have to be married if we're actually going to scale and expand. And so the idea of propagating solar and renewable energy without finding a true personal benefit, not just a global benefit, but a personal benefit, I think the economics are always going to be a challenge. And so that was always our mission. And when Mark and I got together at kind of a difficult time, and, I really, truly believe that we've made significant progress through some of those struggles. It's helped us to grow and actually not just persevere, but actually create a better product. And as Mark mentioned, the energy monitor, it's one of the things that came out of us partnering together to build a better solution to kind of create this ultimate product for the industry.
Along with you and Mark, how did you bring the rest of the team together? Sean, the other Mark with a K, and Mel.
Yeah, so it's all happened kind of over time. Melanie actually came on before Mark Birdie did. She was helping with our past CTO in a marketing role. And when I lived in Southern California, she was actually introduced to us through a finance partner, as somebody who could help us on social media and marketing. But then, Sean came on actually through Mark. Mark and Sean had worked together in a past role in a past company, doing similar things and working relationship. And then Mark Braby came on just recently because of his work that he had done in Phase and some of the other industry groups that are very much core to what we're doing. And he just has a very good financial background. And so he was actually introduced to us through the Plug and Play program up in Silicon Valley. And anyway, it's been a really good working relationship with these guys.
Mm-hmm. Talk to us about how you came up with the Orison solar innovation.
The innovation of Orison was to not just be a benefit to solar folks or not just be a benefit to the utility, but how do we actually stabilize the grid in general so that we can actually bring more renewables, whether it's rooftop local solar or just renewables in general that's more on a larger scale. And so the innovation really, I think, has changed over time, not in what it does, but in the attributes and where we actually value it. And I think now that we're seeing a saturation of solar, our real focus is how do we actually stop these grid fluctuations so we can enable more of it.
How has your innovation evolved over the time of the challenge?
For me, the focus was always on getting product to market and leveraging the support network in order to help us not just bring focus to utilities, but also to consumers. And so the focus of the solar disruption and how we actually play a better part or a bigger part in making that viable, I think that's been one of the greatest gains that we've had through the program.
A lot of the modeling that was done by PNNL. So they did some very good modeling for us in terms of load management and things like that. So we had been designing our system around how we understood, the power levels and times and everything to be, and their models have effectively proven us correct. So now we can, as Eric said,
so yeah, I think for me, again, it goes back to, look, my history in governmental and private sector dealings has always been around supporting a network to do better for more people. And so part of the DOE's involvement and their continued interest in actually helping to forward this innovation with grants and other things is extremely meaningful. As a small entrepreneur, every dollar helps, and having a group that has the credibility, like the DOE and NREL behind us, actually just gives us a little bit more hop in our step, because it's that validation, it's the dollars, knowing that we aren't the only ones toeing the line, but we're having some support getting us there. And so again, it's just, as a small company, it's extremely meaningful to us. And yeah, we just appreciate it. It's actually been a really, really good program for us.